Coach Chad Kreuter and the USC Trojans. They would have a home-and-home series against Long Beach State. We pick up the action on Friday night. Brad Boxberger, what a night he had. A career-high 11 strikeouts for Boxberger. The Trojans would get things started with the bat as well. Robert Stock in the second inning, he would take this double into the gap, and that would get things started for USC, and they would be on the scoreboard, and they would start to score some runs from there. Later in the game, Billy Pinnerton, he would have a single. That would score 2, opening up the Trojans' lead. They would score 5 runs in this one and go on to victory 5-3 over Long Beach State.
Welcome back to the Lexus Gauntlet. Baseball season begins with dreams of getting to Omaha, Nebraska. Really, who has dreams of going to Omaha besides baseball teams in college? We'll fill you in on whether or not the Bruins and the Trojans got their seasons off to solid starts or not. And the Bruins, well, they got a great pitching performance over the course of the weekend, but they did take on UC Davis for the first time in school history. All right, in a game that featured 3 lead changes, UC Davis was able to overcome a 7-5 deficit in the 9th inning, scored the go-ahead run in the top of the 11th, and the Bruins that had won the first 2, UC Davis was able to salvage it, as we see here in the bottom of the 11th. This double, after a pass ball allowed a runner to advance to third, was good enough for the victory on Saturday afternoon and into the evening.
And they were at home against Arizona State. Now, the Trojans played a lot of games at home. We go to the 3rd game of the weekend series against Arizona State. And you see the Trojans shaking hands. Chad Kreuter has Robert Stock on the mound. He got a great start. 5 innings, 10 strikeouts in his first start as a USC Trojan. Freshman Ricky Oropesa hit his 4th home run of the year. He had 4 in the last 10 games. He had a nice day going 3 for 3. And in the 3rd, Grant Green had the 2nd of back-to-back doubles, driving in Mike O'Neill, which gave the Trojans the lead. They would never look back. This towering shot, Anthony Vasquez, that would finish off the day. The Trojans would win 8-2.
That one wasn't playable.
8-2. As we move to game 2, the Trojans in a must-win situation. Freshman Andrew Triggs on the hill. He put together a great outing through 7 scoreless innings and allowed just 3 hits. Anthony Vasquez, with this double, he would go 2 for 4 with 3 RBIs, and the Trojans started to put some things together, especially at the plate. Actually, the Trojans would get great production, especially from the top of the order. They would have 6 out of the 9 hits would come from batters 1, 2, and 3. That'd be Grant Green, Joe DePinto, Vasquez. Each had 2 hits apiece. Trojans go on to win 5-1, even the series. Watch what the 5th-ranked Trojans were able to accomplish as they played 9th-ranked BYU in the 2nd match of the weekend. This is Murphy Troy, and how big of game did he have? One of his 24 kills. Austin Zahn was also Murphy Troy would also have one of his 15 kills. He would hit at a 52% clip, but BYU would battle throughout. In fact, 3 of the 5 matches went past the 30-point limit, but in the end, it would be too much Trojans. They broke a 14-match losing streak the night before against BYU.
15-11 in that one. A big, big win for UCLA over the 5th-ranked Cardinals. Looking for us to record their first conference sweep of the season. The Bruins looked like they were heading in the wrong direction against Pacific. Early on, it was much of the same like their matchup against Stanford. The Bruins would drop game 1, 25-30. The Bruins were outblocked at a 2-to-1 ratio in that first game. The Bruins recorded 11.5 blocks and 13 aces over the next 3 sets to claim the match. The Bruins' 13 aces was a season high, and they were able to respond and take it after dropping the first, so a big weekend overall for UCLA.
The coach of USC has the Trojans rising quickly. They're 5th ranked. They host number 13 UC Santa Barbara at the Galen Center. Tony Chiarelli, what a year the freshman is having. He gets one of his match-high 19 kills. Another strong game at the net for the Trojans in blocks. They had 14.5 UCSB's 5. But a solid performance all around. Murphy Troy, Sean Dennis, Austin Zahn, and Chiarelli all had double figures in kills. Trojans hosted UC Santa Barbara on Saturday afternoon at the McDonald's Swim Stadium. Offensively, the Trojans have exploded over the last 7 games, averaging 13.3 goals per contest. Saturday, more of the same. J.W. Krumpholz, Matt Sagehorn would combine for 7 goals on the day, and 10 different Trojans would record scores. Joel Dennerly and Ben Wheel would share time in the nets for the Trojans, as the Trojans crushed the Gauchos 17-5.
Well, the Bruins last weekend, Saturday action, taking on Long Beach State in this one, and the Bruins came out firing. Scott Davidson had a hat trick. 8 overall Bruins scored in the contest. Shea Lapine had an absolute huge performance in this game. 15 saves, 11 of which came in the second half. 10-4 your final. UCLA victorious.
Team ranked #1 and undefeated so far this season. They would square off against #5 Pepperdine. Both teams undefeated coming in conference play. The two teams also met earlier this year where the Trojans pulled off an overtime victory, but this one would not be close. The Trojans would score 7 consecutive goals, and they would win 14-5.
Didn't make it into the finals, so they played in the third place game against Cal. They lost to Stanford in the semifinals, and the Bruins trailed 10-5 after 3 quarters, but they responded quickly in the fourth. 5 unanswered goals in the quarter to tie things up. Scott Davidson paced the Bruins with 2 goals in the opening couple of minutes of that fourth quarter, and of course 4 goals overall, which was a game high. Then with 14 seconds left, a one-man advantage for Cal. Brian Dudley able to put the rebound back in for the win, and the Bruins fall 12-11 in the third place match.
Didn't make it to the finals, but the Trojans did. They would take on #3 Stanford in the championship game of the SoCal tournament. Trailing most of the way, J.W. Krumpholz gives the Trojans their first lead at 6-5. The Trojans continued to roll as last week's guest Matt Sagehorn added to the scoring, and the Trojans had a 7-5 lead. This game would go into overtime, though. In the extra section, Lightberg would score what would prove to be the game winner. The Trojan would go on to win 8-7.
How would things work out for the Bruins and the Trojans? Well, we're about to tell you next.
They were at home at the Galen Center, and they were hosting #2 Stanford. Camila Lenore, well, she did her part. She had 17 points and 9 assists. In fact, the Trojans will hold their own early against one of the best teams in the nation. This game was tied 6 times. There were 6 lead changes. In fact, the Trojans had 25 points off of turnovers. But the bottom line, the Cardinals, just too much. Stanford's Kayla Peterson, she had 20 points and 10 boards to lead all scorers. The Cardinals, they would go on to win 85-74.
Over the weekend, and you see, straight set victory. Allie Daly, an outstanding performance for her. 13 kills, 12 digs. Nellie Spicer, solid as always, working the center role. 41 assists for the senior out of UCLA. The Bruins hit a remarkable 437 in the final 2 sets for the clean sweep as the Bruins got back to their winning ways.
Play, and how exciting would it be? Well, both teams were very hot coming in. The Trojans had won their last 7 matches. UCLA had won their last 9. We pick up the action in set #4. The Bruins holding a 2-1 lead, and Lauren Williams puts this one away, and the Trojans win game 4 as we move on to the deciding game #5. Well, the cream rose to the top. The Trojans would go on an 11-1 run. At that point, they would have a 14-3 lead, and they would cruise 3-2 for the new school record for consecutive home wins at 31. It was the first 5-set match of the year for the Trojans.
Women's water polo is coming up next on the Lexus College Show. Stay tuned.
Von Bobich had his team going up against Cal State Northridge in the pool. The Trojans would dominate from beginning to end in this one, Sean. 7 different Trojans scored goals. Michelle Stein led the team with 4 of them. The first shutout victory for the Trojans since 2002 as they would win 14-0. Ilsa Vandermeiden was great in the net.
UCLA got off to a somewhat slow start. Adam Krikorian with a young team trying to coach them up. Good job, Coach. Way to coach them up against 5th-ranked San Diego State on Friday afternoon. A 14-7 victory at Sunset Canyon Recreational Center. That's where the Bruins play some of their home games. They recorded 7 goals in the second quarter, then held on for the victory for their first home contest of the 2009 season. That was off the important senior goalkeeper, Brittany Fullen, tied her season high with 12 saves in the cage.
Their wish would not be granted. The Trojans would face UCLA, but first we go against the Trojans against UC Santa Barbara. Now, this is a tournament loaded with talent. 15 of the top 20 teams in the nation on display. Michelle Stein, well, what a year she is having. 3 goals in this game. In fact, the Trojans led this one 14-0 after 3 quarters. They cruised from there. 9 different Trojans would score a goal in this one. Tamua Anai was outstanding in the net. Women of Troy facing #1 Stanford with the #1 slot in the MPSF tournament on the line. The Trojans would open up a 3-0 lead and never look back. 7 Trojans scored. Tamua Anai was great in the net. She had 10 saves, getting her 3rd MPSF Player of the Week award on the season. The Trojans crushed the Cardinals 11-6, leaving no doubt who's the best team in the country. Ranked USC Trojans, they were in Westwood against #3 UCLA. Let's roll the highlights. senior day and critical gauntlet points on the line with the women of Troy in the pool against the Lady Bruins. We pick up the action with the Trojans leading 9-8 when Joel Bakazi, who's a member of the Canadian national team, she scores to make it 10-8 USC. The match would go back and forth all day. There were 9 ties and 6 lead changes. With just over 2 minutes left in the match, Michelle Stein forwards a pass to Kristen Dronberger, who makes this shot from in close, gives the Trojans the lead for good. The Trojans would win for the second time this year as Coach Jovan Vavich's team takes the gauntlet points and sets up a showdown for the MPSF crown with Stanford.
At home, taking on Miami of Ohio, and this is one where the Bruins have been playing red hot as of late. In fact, they were riding a 5-game shutout streak when they entered this contest, and once again the defense stepped up for the Bruins while the offense was led by Christina DiMartino, who netted 2 goals for the Bruins as they picked up their 6th consecutive shutout, finding the back of the net 3 times in this contest as the Bruins go on to win 3-0. So the Bruins continue their red-hot play, and it would continue on Sunday as well.
Well, the defending national champions USC Trojans welcome 16th-ranked Washington to McAllister's Field. And Sean, well, take a look at this. Off the pole, off the head, it is good! Goal! Do you see that?
Really, JJ? That was all skill there, right, JJ? All skill.
It's all timing, Sean. That's what you'll learn in order to become national champions as the Trojans are. But the Trojans would pull this one out.
I've got to ask you to do it one more time. I want you to call that goal one more time for the USC.
Foot, off the head, off the foot. Now look at, I was perfectly placed, off the post, and look at, off the head and goal!
Come on, that shouldn't even count, John Jackson.
Knocked her out.
Yeah, that's great, John Jackson. Way to take credit. I guess you'll take it any way you can, and to be honest, so would I. Bruins were looking for their 7th consecutive Pac-10 championship. You'll notice in this one, they're wearing the pink uniforms. That's in honor of breast cancer awareness, and the Bruins didn't need awareness to know exactly what they needed to do. They came out, they scored early and often. In fact, junior Christina Larson had 2 goals and an assist. Lauren Cheney with the header right there as the Bruins roll in this one, and very easy win, 4-0.
Yeah, that's right. The Trojans have been undefeated in rowing against UCLA, 7-0 going into their head-to-head matchup. Number 13 USC, number 19 UCLA at Marina Del Rey. The match will begin with UCLA winning the novice race. That would give them a 1-0 lead. USC would go on to win the next 4 races. The key race being the USC Varsity 8. That's where they would beat UCLA by 19 seconds and clinch the win in the dual meet. The Trojans would win 6-1, pick up 5 Lexus Gauntlet points, and next up, the Pac-10 championships.
If you're looking to increase your aptitude for prep sports, then join Lindsay Soto as she covers the best in high school athletics from the IE to the OC.
South in the Central Division, a final from Friday here. This is Upland versus Rancho Cucamonga. Stanford-bound Josh Nunez having all kinds of problems with Rancho Cucamonga's defense. Andrew Liu with the pick there. Rancho Cucamonga picked him off 4 times in this game, and they turned that particular pick into points. Greg Watson on the keeper, 6-yard touchdowns. And then the second half, Rancho added insurance here. This is Greg Watson to Randall Telfar, and Rancho Cucamonga won.
Big news regarding one of Southern California's top receiving prospects. After playing at Los Alamitos for the last 3 years, UCLA-bound Paul Richardson has transferred to Gardena Serra. The prolific pass catcher will team up with Robert Woods and George Farmer to form what figures to be one of the most talented receiving trios in the nation next season.
It was a long day for 2 of the best teams in the area. Crespi and Thousand Oaks playing a doubleheader. Lancers coming back from a 4-0 deficit to beat the Celts 5-4 in the first game. Then, boy, did they ride that momentum in the second game. This one wasn't even close. 14-5, the final tally. A huge win for TO, moves them into the top 25 where they debut at 14. Crespi, meanwhile, drops from 4 to 15. To baseball now, City Section. Cleveland trying to hold on to their first place tie with Chatsworth in the West Valley League, taking on El Camino Real. Bottom of the fourth, it's tied up at 5 apiece, but not for long. ECR's Travis Keppel launching a solo shot. He goes 3 for 3 on the day, and the Conquistadors are up 6-5 after 4 innings of play. Top 7 now are tied back up 6-6, and it's Cleveland's turn to show off their firepower. Nico Garcia sending a 3-run blast over the fence. He also contributed 2 doubles in this game. Big game for him. The Cavs scored 5 runs in this inning to take a commanding 11-6 lead. El Camino Real not giving up, though. Bottom of the 7th, 2 outs. Conks only trailing by 3 now with the bases loaded. But Cleveland's David Carver gets Chris Whitmer to pop up, and David Cade makes the catch to end the game. And Cleveland stays tied for first place in the West Valley League with an 11-8 victory over El Camino Real.
Redondo Beach was a hotbed for high school sports this past week, and we check in on some baseball action. It's number 9 Bishop Almont taking on South Torrance in the Blue Division Championship game of the Redondo Baseball Tournament. Bottom of the first, Almont in control from the get-go in this one. Jerry McClanahan drills the 2-run. Jackie went 2 for 3 on the day with 4 RBIs. Lancers take a 5-0 lead into the bottom of the 6th, and then things get out of control in a hurry. Josh Ginzu with a 2-run double. Almont leading 9-0 at that point, and boy, they weren't even done yet. Jonathan Martinez roped this one into left. 2 more runs come across to score. Lancers scored 10 in the inning, and Bishop Almont takes the Blue Division Championship in dominating fashion, 15-0. The nightcap saw number 21 Newberry Park taking on El Segundo in the championship game of the White Division. Bottom of the 4th, Newberry Park trailing 2-1, but not for long. Jamie Sherfeet sends this one deep into left. R.J. Fuhrer can't handle it, and Michael Dennis will come across to score. And we're tied at 2 apiece. Top of the 5th, same score, but El Segundo's got runners on 2nd and 3rd. Logan Erickson doubles in Bryce Savage and Ben Doucette, and the Eagles take a 4-2 lead. They didn't stop there either. 2 batters later, Richard Siegel belts a 2-run home run. El Segundo scores 5 in the inning. They cruise to a 7-2 victory, and the Eagles are your White Division champs. Huge game in the city section. Number 1 Chatsworth battling number 11 Cleveland in West Valley League action. We're scoreless until the top of the 4th, and that's when Chatsworth gets hot. Carlos Escobar drills an RBI single right up the middle. Chancellors jump out to a 1-0 lead. Same inning, Chatsworth not quite done yet. Andrew Klossmeyer singles home Escobar and Ryan Cooper-Stone. Chancellors are rolling with a 4-0 lead after 3.5 innings. Cleveland had their chances, though, right up until the end. Bottom of the 7th, they have the tying runner on 3rd with 2 outs. Casey Tobin robs Jeremy Stern with the liner to end it. Chatsworth can celebrate with a 4-3 victory. They move into a first-place tie with Cleveland in the West Valley League standings, but they're in the driver's seat due to the fact that they beat the Cavs 2 out of 3 times this season.
It was City Section versus Southern Section last Saturday at El Camino College. The best boys basketball players in the Southland facing off against one another in the Collision All-Star game, a game filled with highlight reel plays. UCLA-bound Tyler Honeycutt of Sylmar stealing the show early, racked up 18 points, 11 rebounds, 3 blocks on the night. City Section led by as many as 23 points in the first half. But the Southern Section would come back, believe it or not. Texas-bound Jordan Hamilton leading the way. Haven't seen this guy in a while. Had to sit out the whole season at Dominguez. Didn't sit this one out. An array of offensive weapons. He lit up the scoreboard with 39 points, led all scorers. And the rally didn't stop with him. This bucket and one by future USC Trojan Derek Williams of La Mirada gave the Southern Section a 109-108 lead with 1:55 left in the game. But that lead did not last long. Taft's Justin Hawkins draining the tray to put the City Section back up, this time for good. The future Bruin Honeycutt, your MVP, and the City Section takes home bragging rights. They win this one 113-109. Meanwhile, LA Sparks head coach Michael Cooper on hand to see the girls' Collision All-Star game. Not a lot of suspense in this one, but yet another standout performance by Cajon's Lashia Clarendon. The recent recipient of Ms. Basketball for the state of California, the Cal-bound guard poured in 17 points to help the Southern Section race out to a quick 23-0 lead. They put this one away early. Clarendon came away with MVP honors in the Southern Section down to the City Section for the 10th time.
Speaking of 2 sports stars, Tyler Honeycutt, he averaged almost 20 points and 15 rebounds per contest this past season for the Spartans, turning every game into his own personal highlight show.
He plays defense, he blocks shots, he rebounds, he scores, he does it all. He does things now that in 20 years of coaching basketball that I have never seen. I've never seen a kid his size be able to rebound a ball, lead a fast break, make a good decision, and at the same time play defense on the other end.
Boy, when it rains, it pours, huh? The honors keep pouring in for Michael Snare. The Rancho Verde shooting guard was named a McDonald's All-American last month, and now he has been named the 2008-2009 Gatorade State Boys Basketball Player of the Year. Florida State commit averaged 28 points and 10 boards a game this season. Let's head back up to Sacktown now. The huge volleyball match on Saturday. Loyola ranked number 1 in the nation, hosting Corona Del Mar, ranked number 8 in Division I. Early on, Corona Del Mar thinking upset. UCSB-bound Dylan Davis bringing the heat here. 15 kills for him. Sea Kings take the first game 25-20. But then Loyola absolutely took over. Steve Irwin with the huge kill. Cubs take the second and third games in dominating fashion, 25-15 and 25-10. Fourth game, Loyola, match point, CDM's big gun Weston Nielsen watching his hit sail long. Loyola celebrating. After faltering early, Loyola recovers. They beat Corona Del Mar in 4.
The Mustangs ranked number 2 in Division I, taking on number 6 Mater Dei in the championship game of the Redondo Varsity Classic. Early on, Costa in charge. Davis Waddle sets up UCSB-bound Evan Licht, and he hammers it. Licht, the tournament MVP. Mustangs take the first game 25-22. Second game, Mater Dei response. Monarchs with game point, and Miracosta's DJ White watches the ball sail wide. Mater Dei takes it 28-26, and we're headed into a decisive third game. But Costa grabs the momentum right back. Eric Mahalski comes up with the big kill on match point, and the Mustangs are the 2009 Redondo Varsity Classic champions. They take it in 3 to improve to 28-1 on the season. Still ahead, 7 innings wasn't enough to settle the score between two of the top teams in the Sunset League. Stick around for the thrilling conclusion of that one.
Softball now first place in the Foothill League on the line as 6th-ranked Valencia travels to 4th-ranked Hart. Top of the first, Vikings not wasting any time. Megan Fogelsong knocking in 2 runs here with a single off of UCLA-bound Destiny Rodino. Valencia up 3-0 after just a half inning of play. They make that a 4-0 lead heading into the bottom of the 7th, but things get interesting here in a hurry. Indians cut that lead to 3 with a run, rallying with a runner on first and third. Devin Lindvall knocks home Melissa Brown. Now it's just a 2-run game. 2 batters later, 2 outs. Hart with the tying runner on second. Freshman Viking pitcher Carly Mortensen comes up big. Gets Tracy Chandless to fly out to put an end to the Indian comeback, and Valencia survives. 4-2 the final score. They take over sole possession of first place in the Foothill League.
Up next, success on the softball diamond has come at ease for the 2 teams in the Sunset League that battled it out this past week, but it took extra innings to make it done.
Now time to turn our attention to some softball action. Number 7 Marina at number 10 Edison in a pivotal Sunset League contest. Bottom of the second, Marina already out in front 2-0, but Edison not giving up. Miranda Hoggett sends it deep, and it's gone. A solo shot. Chargers trail just 2-1. Same score until the bottom of the 5th. That's when Edison has a runner on third with 1 out. Courtney Gonzalez with a sacrifice fly. Ansha Purdy beats the throw home, and we're tied at 2 apiece. This one wound up going to extra innings. Bottom of the 8th, Edison with a runner on second. Casey Africano sends this one up the middle into center field. Katie Shinron heads for home from second. She slides in, and she's safe. Marina drops their first game in league play. Edison wins the thriller 3-2.
The UIFL was started, a couple years back, and basically, in a nutshell, it's a chance for kids who've never played football, whether they couldn't afford it, or they were overweight, couldn't make the weight limit, come from the inner city here in Los Angeles, and it just giving them a chance to play, to come together and play football. And the program is more than that. It's a mentoring program. These kids practice twice a week. They meet twice a week, and we've had speakers come out, and just to kind of give them the message, give them a positive message that even though things might not be good right now, or economically you're struggling, or whatever, there's all things are possible, and that's what this league is about: is getting these guys together, teaching them teamwork, discipline, respect for others, more importantly, respect for themselves, and it's worked, and these kids are a bunch of great kids. They've showed up every single week, worked their butts off, they've gotten better in football. They've you know, become friends with other kind of rival areas. So that's the thing, that the satisfying thing is that these kids are really getting something out of this.